I've always felt different. I've always seen things, but when I tried to express them as a child, I was always told to ignore it.
There were people that I didn't know that came to me and said, I have this message that I keep getting that I have to deliver to you.
All of a sudden, out of the shadows, a homeless man just jumped right in front of me. And he said, I'm a soul just like you.
I love it. I wanted to understand the universe and who and what we are and what are we doing here.
Well, we're all part of this amazing soul wave tapping into each other.
This was a major life changer.
You are a light. You have helped me a ton. Thank you.
You've given me the courage to live more from my soul.
Millions of people are awakening. So wake up with Michele Meiche, the place to hear the best-selling authors and experts in the fields of cutting-edge self-help, personal growth, metaphysics, and spirituality. The soul path of awakening. Understand what living awake is.
Hello, Soul Lights. It's me. How's everyone doing? If you're new to this podcast, welcome. I'm Michele. It's great to connect with you. Great to have you here. Those of you that are tried and true, and we've been journeying together for a while, welcome back. Great to connect with you all. Hello in the chat also. Okay, guys, I was totally engrossed in something. I mean, talk about meditative state. Well, first I was texting, but then I was so engrossed in a mini meditation preparing that I just heard this voice, log on, log on, log on. And I'm like, oh, my God. Wow. But what a meditation. Wow. Let me know how you're doing in the chat. Welcome, everyone. If you have a question, a comment, or you want a reading, that number is 347-539-5122, 347-539-5122. Press 1 on the keypad. This is important. If you want to talk, you want to share, you want a reading, you want to comment, press 1 on your keypad. I see a lot of people in the queue. Maybe you're just listening by phone. That's fine. But if you have a question or a comment or you want a reading, you need to press 1. Let me know, please, in the chat, how is my sound? How is my sound? Is it good? Is it sounding good? Okay, I'm worried. Okay, 347-539-5122 is the number. Press 1 on the keypad if you have a question or a comment. Let's see. I'm seeing somebody's texting. Sounds good. Oh, thank you about the sound. Nice and crisp and clear. Okay, press 1 on keypad. Okay. To get your reading. I don't know, it's not working. Okay, I may just have to pick up people. Let's see. Lenny's in the house. Hello, Lenny. All right, gang. Got a lot going on. Oh, I want to let everyone know, that's one thing I was going to do, is put in the chat or in the Instagram. I could maybe put it in the chat. I'll multitask a little bit here. On the 23rd of this month, I am connecting back with Grace O. Many of you, I got a lot of DMs and a lot of emails. When are you going to do something again with Grace? When are you going to do something again with Grace? Are you ever going to do something again with Grace? We're both energy and sound transmitter. She transmits through sound, tone, frequency. I do light and tone, and we're going to be doing something together, which I'm really, really excited about. I'll tell you a little bit about it, and then I want to do the regular. So we're going to do Akashic clearing and soul retrieval. So I'm really excited about this. I'm going to have some other offerings in the next few months that all align with the energies of the next 6 months. And the end of February, January, Pluto will go back into Aquarius. We have a completion, and I would say lift-off, launch-off new moon that corresponds to the full moon that we had in Pisces this month. But the new moon, I believe, is February 24th of 2024. Some of you have noticed I haven't done a lot of courses or classes. I've done a couple of offerings with Grace, because I've really been in deep communal commune with God, source energies, and also specifically with my guides, the spiritual hierarchy and oversouls, in a kind of a tutelage and a reverie. I've been doing a lot of lucid dreaming, getting a lot of visions and information. In fact, and my friend Lori said, "Oh, you need to post this." I'm sprinkling in the pick a cards heads up and information of the collective and universal changes and how that's affecting the collective and the individuals. And definitely a lot of it is also coming through the individual pick a card readings of soul stories, the stacks. But for August, I was saying how there was going to be a lot of people watching the news, watching TV internationally. There's going to be a lot that's happening. And I saw extreme weather changes and climate change, and I said there's going to be uncharacteristically a lot of rain, which we did have in Southern California. It's a hurricane. I think I even mentioned hurricane. I said different weather pattern, and I definitely said rainstorms, a lot of uncharacteristic rain and rainstorms. Now, what's interesting, why this is happening a lot with the kind of watching things on quote-unquote TV, if you will, it's, in a way, you guys, it's bringing us together. Oh, Lenny, Akashic clearing. Yes, well, it's possible. In soul retrieval, I was trained in my from doing hundreds, maybe thousands, and having soul retrieval done on me. You're retrieving aspects that have been splintered or cut off. Now, some of you have heard me, especially if you've been connecting with me on my Soul Awakening Patreon community. I've talked a lot about this, and it's very interesting because I'm seeing it in my clients, I'm seeing it in myself, and it kind of dovetails with this Aries energy, North Node in Aries, that there is this aspect or this part of us that is coming through. Now, let me ask you, how many of you have said, "Oh, I don't think I can make it," or "I don't think I can do it," or "There's so much coming up," or you can see where things are going, whether financially, monetarily, in the world, with your career, with the jobs, with the government, with politics, with health, with World Health, Organization, pandemic, this, that, vax, on and on and on and on. There is an aspect from your soul that is now emerging, and that's what this is really partially about. As we ascend, as we extend or expand in consciousness, through the light body, through the Merkaba, we connect in more to the Akashic Field. We have more connection to the Akashic Field. And in one way, we could say, the Akashic Field is extended out into the subtle energy, but it's also within us, within our DNA, within our cellular structure and memory. There is encoding, and of course etherically around us through the aura and the subtle energy body specifically. And the link is the astral body. That's the link. That's the linker. So I'm going to get more into this in the workshop and the sound healing, sound frequency healing, toning. It's kind of, you might call it at the end, a sound bath. But anyway, working with tones and frequencies. But the Akash means soul. So there's fragmented aspects of self. And when we reclaim that energy, when we clear it, the emotional connection between the astral and Akashic, we free up energy, units of energy and aspects of self to integrate. This is a lot about integration. Healing, if you want to call it healing. But a lot of people are getting a soul call, and you're right, the aspect of you now, or the aspect of your being, the different parts, as we call it in psychosynthesis, the different parts that fit together, no, they cannot withstand what's coming up for us and going in and extending and expanding 5D and above. Because we're living 3 and 4D. If you talk to physicists, a lot of people think it's just 3D, but we also have the environment around us. So we live, base reality or conscious, mainstream consciousness is 3D, 4D. It's both. It's 4D. But to live in the higher extended frequencies, this other energy frequency has to come through, and it's more aligned with your soul signature frequency. And there's a lot of decoding that's happening, not just in the physical, biophysical DNA structure, but also the etheric DNA structure. And that's when you start living more from the transpersonal chakras or energy centers, or through the subtle energy. You activate that, and that's in the etheric field. So the key really is that Akashic astral, that lovely area that I love just melding and gelling in. So a lot is going to be changed. There's changes coming within you and with what was planned for you, even in the Akashic. The Akashic is not immutable. It is mutable. You can change the trajectory of your life through understanding the etheric, the astral, and the Akashic, and what to do on those levels. So that's just a little bit of what we're going to be, diving into. But it's time, and I'm ready, and I am excited. I am excited about it because I have not got the call or a message, the desire to do something like this in a while, and that I have somebody that can also open the frequencies with me, and some of you have experienced Grace's work. I just want to say, my path has been interesting. I had visions as a child. I had near-death experiences, one at 4. I was, had visitations, whatever, extraterrestrial, alien, I had a lot of stuff early on before I had the context, the work, the workshop, the internet, or a book to explain it. I had my galactic family, my starseed family, or guides saying, look, this is what you're going through. They'd come to me. Mother Mary, visiting me through a very turbulent time at 11 in my life. So, and being told at 8 years old, you're a starseed. And then finding the teacher, and many of us started this way. There wasn't this proliferation of information and rehashing of stuff. So you knew if something was happening, my God, you remembered it. So I remember my early 20s, my first astrology, I think my first psychic reading was 19. And 13, 14, I was on a conscious path, meditating, having visions, getting downloads psychically. The channeling started at 4. But Elliot Tanzer, and he said exactly what my guides had told me, or the starseed family. You are a starseed. You're a walk-in. They showed me the whole process of the walk-in, and he said, remember your roots as a starseed. And I was like, okay, I read a book at 14 on astral projection because I had been astral projecting and astral traveling. I didn't know what a starseed was until my early 20s. I knew I was one. I was told that, I believed, because I had such a connection. So the teacher, what is it? The proverbial, the teacher appears, right? And so, it's really to understand and live out more of these aspects of our being, and to trust. And literally, if you're here on the planet, you're consciously awake, aware, awakening, however you want to put it, then you're here to assist in not only the ascension, which is extending and expanding out of the extremes of polarity, consciousness, but to bring in the new aspects of self. It's all resonance and frequency. We cannot manifest what doesn't have enough resonance on Earth. Now, this is really important, right? Why is this important? Because, let's see, exactly, did I answer your question, Lynn? I don't see you in the chat now. Tasha Blue. What the body irritations that came up since the full moon. Yeah, I will go into that. Lynn, did I answer it? Let's see. Yeah, so, okay. Let me know, and then Tasha, I'll get to your question. And then I'll get to callers, 347-539-5122. Press 1 on your keypad to get on air, 347-539-5122. 347-539-5122. Let's see. Are you in the queue? All right, gang. So, 347-539-5122. Can't hear you at all now. Can you guys hear me or not? Let's see. Can't hear me? Let's see. I don't see you. Sorry, guys. Somebody's sending me a text. They're trying to get into the chat, and I don't see their number. Let's see. Maybe there's something. Let me know in the welcome. Let me know in the chat how the sound is, because it is. Some people are saying they can't hear me. Okay. All right, so getting out of that extremes of polarity. So yes, there is an aspect of a part of you that is going to be coming through and is starting to come through. Like I started to say, I saw it in myself about 6 months ago. And it's a very decided, focused, creative aspect. And yes, we have to update our energetic field, our mental, emotional, focus, our psychology, really, our connection to our psyche, our inner psyche, which psyche comes from the Latin word that means soul. Psyche means soul. So to align to what we're going to all be called to do individually and collectively, yes, there is a different aspect that has to come through and navigate. And if you look at key times in your life, you will see that you've always had a stronger aspect or part of yourself that has navigated your life, that has kind of pushed you, motivated, inspired you. It's done whatever. It's been, I call it the captain of the inner psyche, right? And so that archetype is changing, and it has to, because the earth game has changed or is changing. In some level, the change is already there. So to create the structures to move forward, to do with not only what you need to do, but what you want to do at the deepest level of your soul, there is unreleased aspects of your being that are coming through. Think of yourself as an actor. I call this the denser physical part of us as the avatar. It's such a small slice of who we are. We are beyond race, color, creed, religion. Those are all limitations to some degree. We are beyond that in spirit realm. So we're going to be touching more and more and more and more into that, and if you will, embodying it, downloading it, and living through it. So it is a very powerful time, as we ping pong between the extremes of the polarity plane, and you find your middle way. You align to your own inner personal compass. You have to, because to align to your own GPS, outer GPS or inner GPS, requires a location. These are landscapes, inner landscapes and outer landscapes that we have not yet traveled. We're creating the system, the structure, not reinventing the wheel. We're taking from what was already there. We have the foundation, obviously, on the earth plane. But there are some new innovations that are happening. And so it's learning where's my inner compass and how do I relax into it and let it navigate me. Very much the Chariot card in the tarot to some degree. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a flavor of what's coming up. I will post it on Insta. It's the link there. Let's see. Yes, you can't clear the Akash, but you can do healing that changes, raises the vibration, and you align to higher aspects. Yes, you can. Yes, you can't. You can't. Yes, you can clear the Akash. Yeah, the Akash is mutable. Anything, if I can change, it is by the frequency, but it's also about new decisions that align to the new complex of vibrational frequencies, energies, right? So yes, it is immutable. Now, your soul design does not change, but the Akashic is not your soul design. The Akashic is not your soul signature frequency. So how something manifests in which way can be changed. The design, just like designing a house, you can remodel. There's certain things you can change. But the patterning, if you think of the spiral, everyone, because the spiral represents the soul, this mortal coil, right? You incarnate, you come down into the earth plane dimensionally, not gravitationally. So we have similar or same experiences, but at different octaves, either low, medium, or higher octave or expression. So it's changing our experiences or what we're lining up. So the Akashic as a a lot of old timers, there's so much ancestral information that is very because the Akashic records Akash meaning, some say soul in Sanskrit, soul or sky. It's the etheric, it's the atmosphere. So it's the thoughts. It's the thought that can be changed. The Akashic, yes, can be changed. It's the etheric. Now, the design, the soul design is your design your design. An apple tree is an apple tree. A pear tree is a pear tree. But you can mix the hybrid, but it's still an apple and a pear. But yes, the Akashic field, it's past, present, future, but it's the thoughts. It's the field of consciousness. It's a container. So I can change my container. I can change my clothing. I don't have to wear, I got a T-shirt on and sweats, but the Akash I can change. I have a white sweatshirt I can change into a blue sweatshirt or a tank top or in cotton or silk or hemp. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, it's very, very powerful. 347-539-5122 is the number. And press 1 on the keypad. Let's see. Thank you, Lenny. Different terminology. I love it. Yes. Raise the vibration and you're aligned to higher aspects and abilities we have. Ooh, I like that, Lenny. I like that, Lenny, in the chat with her wisdom. Yes. Raises the vibration and you align to higher aspects and abilities we have. Yes, indeedy. All right, Tasha Blue in the chat, and then we'll get to callers. Hi, Michelle. Could you please tune in and sense what the body irritations that came up since the full moon were? Tasha. Cleansing and clearing. Right? As we shift, as we expand, it's like growing pains, right? Literally, we do have growing pains. We have them physically, mentally, and emotionally. I mean, with kids, I remember one of my brothers grew rather quickly, and he had pains in his legs and knees. Now, I don't remember that. Being the Libra rising that I am, my growth was balanced. My changes have been balanced, but yeah, there was a lot of irritation, partially because of the Venus in Leo retrograde, so a lot of tension with relationship, right? Connecting in and agitating that Aries North Node. I want what I need. And Chiron in Aries, it's about me. I've got to move forward. I've got to release. I got to not be held back. What do I need? What do I want? That's what I'm telling you. There is an aspect that's quite different. Some of you may have an inkling of this part of you that I'm talking about that is coming, but it got squelched or put on the back burner or didn't get to fully materialize because, maybe timing or whatever, however you want to terminate, however you want to define it. So, yes, there is this unrest, the retrograded energy. The Venus has a lot to do with our self-worth, self-esteem, how we love, what we love, who we love, our values, our principles. Do we love our life? Is that lining up? The people, the relationships, are they supporting us? So we've been doing a lot of reviewing. And that energy, that depending on where it hit you in your chart, that full moon in Pisces, also with Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, there's just a lot of energy squaring that Uranus and Taurus, so retrograde. So that Uranus and Taurus, that square, that bringing up a lot of irritation, and the irritation kind of look at this, feel this. Some of it we know consciously and we can look at it. Some of it is just a releasing and a coming up from the body, from the somatic. We're having a somatic shift. That is, it was a lot. I wrote about it. I mean, I even had some stuff, texted some of my friends, oh my God, this energy pattern and is kicking my arse. I mean, it was, a couple of days, a lot of irritation. I mean, I had even a time, I went to go to one of my favorite places to do my Patreon videos and hike and walk and hear the birds. I had an amazing time. I mean, blissful. Then I hop in my car, I'm driving back, and all of a sudden I was irritable and angry and just in my mind just saying things and cussing people out. Be honest, like, oh, I can't believe they're this way and that way. And I'm like, whoa, what happened? And it lasted an hour or two, and then, boom, it was gone. I was like, wow, that was an interesting little thing to experience. All right, let's growing pains. I hoped it was detoxing or ascension symptoms. All the same things. Those are growing pains. When you're detoxing or having ascension symptoms, that's growing pains, because ascension is you're growing into a higher vibrational frequency, an expression of you and your beliefs or your ideas. It's all the same things, somatics. So, Jay Styling, I was in the chat, can't talk now. If you have a moment, I recently applied for a position and wondered what might come of it. Okay, let's see for Jay. Well, I definitely see work around you, but I feel like you've got a couple jobs coming in. So if this one isn't it, there's another one, or you don't stay with this. I feel like you're in a focus of refining what it is you want and the direction. So there's a lot of change for you individually, Jay, what I see in the chat. Something about your perception of life, even how you look, maybe dress, or how you view things or others are viewing you. All right, 347-539-5122. Press 1 on the keypad. Let's get to callers, or you can put a question in the chat. Hi, you're on air.
Hi, Michelle. It's Lee.
Hey, Lee. Welcome.
Hi. I love everything that you were talking about, by the way, because there's so much energy shifting and weird little things popping up and all of that. So thank you for sharing all of that.
You're welcome.
I was calling in because I met somebody and was kind of curious what you see, maybe something happening there or what's going on.
Okay. Let's see. Ooh. All right. Challenges to the self. Wow, Pluto. There's a little bit of a power struggle, even if quietly. Are you guys? Is there a push-pull going on a bit?
We're basically just kind of talking back and forth right now.
But it cooled off. It feels like that maybe you were closer, and then some kind of distance or uncertainty. What's the challenge there?
I'm not sure.
Okay, what about for you? Scorpio, yeah, it's a deep transformation. Here's what I get visually, but then I want you to tell me give me a little more information, because it's like a hot stove that I don't know if I touch it, it's hot, and I pull back. So I feel you're in a place of deep transformation. I don't know if he is, or wanting to be, or needs to be, or you're triggering him in such a way where he's having to look at certain things that maybe he's not as comfortable. It definitely shows the both of you coming together. There is some kind of transformation or transformative aspect to the relationship. It's not surface. I don't feel it's just a surface kind of connection. There's definitely some depth.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I think if it works out, it's going to be a long haul. There's some behaviors, there's some things he has to change. Go ahead. Yeah?
Okay. Well, yeah, I was kind of feeling it would be kind of a long run until things kind of did come together. But yeah, I was just curious because I definitely feel that connection with him, and not really pushing things too hard or anything like that, but just more of like like texting and friendship kind of stuff.
But you're hoping for more.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I will just say there's going to be you won't be the same after this relationship. I think it's very transformative. I don't know about it, quote unquote, lasting or going on forever, because I feel you have to change some behavior, some ways that you deal with relationship, and not like you're holding back and being friends and kind of, hey, bro, go with the flow, but that's not what you want. And your learning lesson right now is to know what you want, be open to receive what you want, and go for what you want. And have a healthy expectation for what you want. And he's, I don't know, it's almost like, I remember years ago one of my professors when I was studying transpersonal psychology said, some people just can't. They want to go a certain direction, but they just can't. It's not. It's the capability, and some people fight it. It's like they're fighting. I sense he's fighting something that isn't even about you. It's either about family dynamics. We talked last week about mother-son dynamics. That might be something for you to listen to.
Yes.
Because there's issues there. And so it's a control thing for him as to what he'll do or how far he'll go or how much he'll change. So you could be hanging in this zone, this gray zone, for a long time with him. Because if he gets a little bit triggered, you see what I'm saying? I don't know. Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know if the tactic of just being friends or going with the flow is actually going to work. Because he knows that game. You see what I'm saying? Other women have done that with him. He knows women very well. He knows women very well. I think he's good looking. I think he knows women very well, but he doesn't know the feminine within him.
Got it.
So take that in, and I think he's a good there's a lot that he does and does well, but at the same time, I don't know, that other dynamic within him that makes sense? Does that help at all? Does that give?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Yay, Sue in the chat. 2 more days retirement. Yay. How wonderful. Yay. Okay, let's get to the next caller. Hi, you're on air.
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah.
Oh, good. This is Jody, a.k.a. Jay Stiley.
Oh,
I had a
Jody,
question.
hey, hi. Okay.
Hey. So now you got the two together.
I know. I love it. Jay, I always call you Jay. Jody. I love it. Yay.
So my big question, hopefully you can hear me because I'm walking outside with my earbuds.
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh, cool. So my question is around, I've been itching for a change.
Yeah, that's what I was picking up psychically, wasn't it? It's coming. Go on. Okay, go on.
And I'm so freaking bored. I feel like I could do my job with my eyes shut. You know what I mean? But so I did finally apply to a job. I've got other things I have in mind. Just wondering if you see anything coming up.
Well, I definitely, like I was saying in the reading when you were in the chat, I definitely see something new coming in for you. So this job, it's a job. Whether you get it or don't get it, there's something else. And I feel like you're going to carve something new. I feel like whatever you're doing is going to have a very strong online component, maybe even something with writing and or research. But I kind of feel like you know what it is or the direction you want to go in. But you're going to have to kind of create it, or I guess I want to say carve it out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it kind of does. I mean, there's a couple of different ways I can go. I can either try to do my own thing, and I kind of know what that looks like, but or I want to do something with purpose. You know, I want, not that interior design isn't purposeful, because it is, but something that intrinsically helps me feel like I'm helping other people, not just somebody's bottom line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to, but now there's this. But see, now here's the thing. It's up to you, because our soul's purpose is not what we do. It's how we do what we do.
True.
Yeah. So, yeah, it really, you know, when back in the day, way back in the Wayback Machine, when I was modeling and acting, and people knew about me being psychic and, you know, channel and a medium and all the stuff that I would do and was studying, and we'd be on the set and they go, how can you model? I loved modeling. It afforded me a very nice lifestyle, and I was always on soul's purpose, because everywhere I went, I did healing, I talked about meditation, I talked about psychic, I talked about channeling, I was counseling. That's one of the reasons I ended up going back to school and diving even deeper into what I do and retraining, was because my joke was I could be on a yacht, you know, with billionaires, champagne, everything, sitting there, and of course, what would happen? People start opening up. I don't know why I'm talking to you. I don't know why I'm opening up. You know, even, you know, aristocrats, you know, opening up. And then, what do you do? Oh, you're psychic. Oh, my God, she's psychic. Okay, everywhere. I don't care. I could have been in the most materialistic place. Restrooms, bathrooms. How many of you have had that happen? Even as a kid, people would open up to me. I don't know why I'm opening up to you. Why am I talking? I never talk this way to anybody.
Yes.
So I was like, you know what?
I don't know why I'm telling you this.
Yes.
That thing.
I don't know why I'm telling you this. Even at 17 years old, and I was like, adults, 34, 40, 50 years old, and I'd be just staring wide-eyed, just holding space, actively listening, going, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but I'll just, okay. And then, you know, oh, my God, you're so wise. Thank you for listening. So I feel for you there is this very creative element. So as long as whatever you're doing, here's what I would do. I would bridge from what you're doing and start implementing and integrating some of the things that you do spiritually or metaphysically into your design work or how you work with your clients or your customers. I have quite a few clients that actually are in real estate or design, and one of them got out of it for a while and then went back into real estate. They were in commercial real estate, and now they went back into residential because they said their purpose, their joy, it wasn't about the huge money of commercial real estate. They loved finding the perfect home for people, especially families, and they loved doing the staging and all the stuff, the whole journey of the sacred space of a home, right?
It is. Yes, and I absolutely love that. I've done commercial mostly my entire career, but I really do love the idea of applying a bagua and going through someone's home. I use a pendulum in my own space.
Do it.
I love it.
Here's the thing. Fun. You could be... One of the things I do is house clearing, space clearing, whether it's just energy or spirits that are there. And I love doing that because I start getting the psychic impressions. I get the address. I start tuning in. I get the lowdown, what's going on. I start and then I go to the home. And I even help people pick out homes by numerology. You could do that. You could create this sacred space, the Bhagwan. You could. I feel for you also because I do feel with you that you're also you have a strong, not just entrepreneurial, but business sense. So I feel that you could even, whether in person or online, that you could have gifts or sacred things for the home. You could really put a program together, do you have an instant?
Oh my gosh, I've been totally thinking about that.
And that's why I'm channeling it. Elements, blog about it, Instagram about it, reel about it, YouTube about it. Go for it. But start now. Just start bridging now because, and some of your clients will carry over, because they trust you.
They do.
Yes. So, and trust is a beautiful thing on this path. So, yes, I would say go for that. Just start now. You have the time, the energy. You're great at what you do. Your heart is in it. It's aligned to your soul. I would just start now. Start playing with it, putting it together.
Thank you. Okay.
You're very welcome.
It's
right,
what I've been thinking about, and it came out your
Well, that's why it came through psychically. Sometimes a psychic reading is just a confirmation of what you already know. It's your higher self and guide saying, let's do it. Let's go.
All right.
Okay. Very cool.
Love it.
All right, take
care.
Thank
you.
Bye. You're welcome. Big hug. All right, gang, 347-539-5122 is the phone number. Press 1 on your keypad if you have a question or a comment. We have our guest coming on in just a little bit for our awakening conversation. Looking forward to that. Oh, my God, how inspiring, you guys. Jody, I'm glad you called in. See what I mean? That bridging. One of my clients in one of my channeling sessions and workshops, it's about how to channel and become more psychic, and we were talking about, I was saying, that there's going to be more and more people awakening and more people doing exactly what I'm doing and what a lot of you are doing. Back in the day, I was kind of an oddity, even up to a few years ago. This boom has happened very recent. It hasn't been people doing this kind of work or having these gifts or abilities. It was kind of flaky, looked at as freaky flaky, whatever. And my client said, oh, my God, how are we going to make money? There's going to be more people taking out slices of the pie. And I said, yeah. And she's like, what do we do? And I go, we bake more pies. We have different pies. And, of course, that's also where, the hybrid, not just jobs, but careers come in, which when I was doing some tech talks, give you an example. Some of the early technology talks I was doing and talking to people that are into the world of technology, the Internet, digital economy, digital creators, startups in the tech field. I talked about consciousness, awakening, inspiration. I coined the phrase the next, the currency will be inspiration and creativity back in 2009. I did a couple talks. One of them that I did, a keynote talk, speech, whatever you want to call it, I did the same talk or speech with the same company and group in 2016 that I had done in 2009. Now, 2009, I was heckled, and I love it. By the way, gang, I don't care. I don't even want to. I don't go to Whole Life Expo. I don't care. I like going and talking to people and shaking them up that don't know much about what I talk about or what I do. And people were texting and on Twitter, and I was telling people in the audience, put your phones down. All these big CEOs, put your phones down. Tune in. We're going to meditate. Stop texting so much. But they were also texting, things that I was saying. They were, texting my quotes on Twitter. But I did that same conference in 2016. Now, mind you, 2009, I was the only one talking about what I did. My meditation book had been out. No one else talked about this. And they looked at me like I was like when pigs fly. I mean, it was bizarre. 2016, 5 people. Now, mind you, this is out of hundreds, but just imagine. CEOs, owners of companies, CEOs of well-known branded companies, Fortune, not only 500, but Fortune 100 and Fortune 50 companies, all had written books on mindfulness or meditation. In fact, the person that came before me on the stage, this guy, I don't remember his name, but he was with a well-known brand. I don't know if it was, AT&T, but some kind of you would know the brand name of the company. I was sitting there with my assistant at the time, and he started talking what I was going to talk about, and I was mortified. I'm like, first of all, I'm not the unicorn anymore. There's so many people talking about mindfulness or meditation or weaving that in and spirituality. And I said, oh, shit, that's my talk. And my assistant, what are you going to do? And I just tuned in to my higher self, and I said, let's do something. Let's push it. So what I did, what no one had done on that stage, I talked, but I brought everyone into a process. I did a whole group process. Did a hypnotherapy, past, present, future self, meditation, aligning to the higher self or for creativity. I thought, well, Michele, you're going to have to push it. You can't go up and just now do your, what you were going to talk about. So that tells you, gang, where we're going and how things are exponentially leaping forward or opening up in consciousness from that time period. And it's only gotten more. So those of you that are wanting to integrate this into quote-unquote regular jobs, corporate jobs, that's needed. It's the emotional quotient or emotional intelligence, the intuitive, bringing that in. So bring that in, even if it doesn't seem to go together. I mean, I have a really good client that is not just a stockbroker and a trader for individuals or for herself, companies. She helps companies and tells companies what companies to buy and invest in, and stocks and all that. And she's also an astrologer, and so she's blended the two, the astrology, and she tells them, I'm also using astrology. I'm not just using technicals and fundamentals. I am bringing astrology also into it. So think about that, as we come into 2024, what can you mix and match and bring together in your life that is more soul-fulfilling for you? All right, gang, we've got our awakening guest I see on the number here. We've got with us Nyasha Williams, author, creator, and activist. She has written children's books. She's got 4 titles out now. She's got more coming in fall, and plus an oracle deck coming out this fall. You can find her, Nyasha Williams, on Instagram, and also Right to Change the Narrative. Ooh, I love that. So you can check her out. Let's bring her on. Hi, Nyasha. Welcome.
Hi. So I'm going to start with my name. It's Nyasha.
Nyasha. Hi, Nyasha. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Lovely being in the space with you.
Yeah, thank you. Nyasha. It's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. All right. Thanks. Where's that from, by the way, Nyasha?
So before I was adopted, my parents lived in Zimbabwe for a while, and it means grace and mercy.
Ooh, grace and mercy?
Yes.
Ooh, wow. Okay, grace and mercy. I love that. I love when the names kind of match up like that. That's beautiful.
Yes.
All right, Nyasha, let's connect in with you a bit. I want to know a little bit about you, what you're comfortable sharing. And, yeah, and if you would integrate in what it is that you do, kind of your first awakening to either the deeper part of you or the spirituality, or what got you on the path that you're on right now and doing what you're doing.
Yeah. excuse me, I identify as an author, creator, activist. I voice that my mission is writing for the world that my ancestors deserve and our future children need. So that is really the root of my work. I'm a transracial adoptee.
Wait, let's roll it back. Let's roll it back. Your ancestors and the children need. Because I'm a big, and I've seen it in the visions of the awakening. There's going to be a lot of changes, and of course we saw it in, lovely pandemic, COVID, whatever. To education, to really educating the children. So I love can you explain that? Dive into that a bit more about the ancestors, but also our children need. What are you seeing?
So in terms of ancestral walk, I feel like, especially for the BIPOC community, a lot of us have been very deeply disconnected from our roots and from our ancestors. And I'm
go back to
to
the acronym. What's the acronym? Let's go back. What is it?
Sorry. BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous, People of Color.
Okay. Okay, cool. Go on.
Yes. And so a lot of us have been disconnected from our roots, and disconnected from our ancestral connections, at least being aware and present of their presence. And so I'm grateful that everyone's starting to step back into that, but I was like, a lot of our ancestors fought for so much and had so many dreams for us now, present here today. And so I believe that our work now is to help build those dreams, continually have those dreams come to life. And then in terms of future children, I was like, we obviously know things are not equitable yet. Things are not fair. We have struggle here. And so I believe our goal is continually to work towards leaving the world better than we found it and assure that we are moving back in alignment with nature and we are moving in not just sustainable but regenerative ways, so that our children are able to live in a safe, loving environment.
Love that. Now, are you working within education? No, of course, you're writing.
Yes.
And I think you have 4 books out right now, right?
I currently have about 7 out right now. And then I have a few more coming out this year and some more next year. Okay.
So are those obviously they're on Amazon, and everyone, if you're listening, you can find out more information about Nyasha. I'm having trouble with that.
Nyasha, like me.
Nyasha.
Like me. Nyasha.
Nyasha, okay.
Yes.
In the description box. So, but beyond Amazon, are you working with children or getting them in schools or enrichment programs or anything like that? Are you able to do that?
Yes. So I taught kindergarten for 4 years, so that helps as well. And so I have connections in the schools in both Baltimore and out here in Colorado. But I love doing school visits and love it when people ask me to come and do workshops. And I do workshops all the way through. I've done them from preschool all the way through adults. I just transition what the conversation looks like. And some people wouldn't think that would match because some of my children's books are literally called Ally Baby Can Be. So they're intended for the younger audience. But I love sitting down with high schoolers and middle schoolers with those books because I talk to them about writing about things that matter to them, about writing about activism, and what that can look like. So there's so many different ways to transition that. I love at all ages, whether it's preschool all the way through adults, teaching them what it looks like to bring a book from manuscripts to bookshelf. How does that happen? I definitely, the only book of mine that's only available on Amazon is my self-published book, What's the Commotion in the Ocean. Every other book is available wherever books are sold.
Okay.
And so they're accessible outside of that. And my tarot deck is also available at Target.
Okay. Oh, I love that. Okay. Now we have something else in common because I taught preschool and kindergarten, and then worked with at-risk youth, and then after-school programs. And by the way, years ago I did a program at libraries, and it was for kids. But guess who started coming? Teenagers and adults. So I sometimes think, I don't know, even just the easier books or whatever, it translates, which sounds like that's what you're saying, right? It can translate into, an older audience, older eyes, older ears. Have you found that?
Yes, 100%. I definitely feel like picture books are just magical in themselves, and there's so many people who come to buy books from me, and they're like, I don't have any kids yet, but I have, just this bookshelf full of children's books, and I love that. I think that there's just a very beautiful and magical and concise way children's books put out messages and just speak to experience that connects with people very deeply. And so I am here for that. I feel like we need to decategorize picture books being for kids. I think everyone just enjoys hearing stories and reading stories,
Yeah, that's a good idea. Because it kind of has this, that's just for kids, but there is something sometimes you don't need more information. There's enough there on that page, whether there's a picture or just enough wording or symbol that you've got it. And I think especially in this day and age and where we're going, little bits of information, smaller data points coming can be better. So it sounds like you were kind of inspired, if kind of at an early age. Were you seeing what was missing or what was needed?
I will say that I've always been a visionary from a young age. Mm-hmm. But in terms of writing itself, I honestly did not start writing until about 2017, 2018 is when I started playing around a little bit. Just because I wasn't seeing enough diversity in the books that my kids were having access to in the classroom. So I felt like there's a gap here, and I feel like I'm hearing the call to do something about that gap. I'm a reflector, so, I think I heard, like, it was this continual, I waited and heard this continual call multiple times, and that's kind of just when I slowly started stepping into it fully. And so my first book, self-published, I did a Kickstarter because I did not have the funds to publish, and I self-published my first book in 2019. And it went viral, and my literary agents really found me through seeing my illustrations going viral and finding me and wanting to take me on from that. So, yes, an unexpected.
So I didn't know that you do your own illustrations then.
I do not. I am not the illustrator.
You do,
but
you're not. Okay.
Found an illustrator on Fiverr. Her name. My first book was Sophia Glushko, and I found her on Fiverr, and she's amazing, and she worked with me, and we brought the book to life. Yes. And, it's been a journey since then. But I think that what I hear the call mostly is just making sure that my books are, I think that if I had to summarize what I think authoring is for me, I don't feel like I just write myself, is what I can say. I feel like I have ancestors, people who are in alignment with me, who come through and write with me for what message needs to come out, what needs to be heard. So it's definitely not me alone. And yes, I feel like I'm always in community in my writing in that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're writing this prolifically, I would say you're definitely opening the channel and something's coming through you, because the divine inspiration is it sounds like it's definitely moving you, which is which is always a beautiful thing and a gift, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
I wanted something that jumped out at me. Well, let's go back first to your awakening to this and what it got you in the writing, and what have you noticed, like your own inner feedback, like that lets you know. I think this is important for our listeners and then later on YouTube viewers. Is what did you connect into that said, oh, I'm on the right path, this is what I want to do or what I'm meant to do, or I see a mission here, a purpose?
Yeah. I think on a very, like, you know, pinnacle, earthly level, when I got my contract or the advance for the first traditionally published book, like when there was a bidding war for the first traditionally published book by a bunch of publishers, and when I got the advance numbers, that was like, oh, this is a sustainable path financially. Yeah. Because I think we all want to bring our gifts out. We want to use them in ways that are meaningful and that are creating the change we believe in and that are impactful, as your other caller had said. But I think also knowing that we can make a living doing that is, you know, it's figuring out how that works. Because my question always to people when they're looking for something new or they're feeling unsettled or kind of stagnant, I always ask them, what would you do if money didn't matter? And I wait for that answer. And once they give me that answer, then I'm like, okay, well, you need to do something in alignment with that. You just need to figure out how you're going to find a way to make it a sustainable situation for yourself so you are able to live on that.
How to monetize. Yeah, I love that question. But you went for it before knowing that. So you got the confirmation.
Yeah.
Right? That and I think that's so important. What's the intersection between non-self-delusion and being inspired and in alignment and going for it? You know, you got to there's wiggle room there.
So when I learned my human design and I learned that, like, with reflectors, you have, like, we're kind of reflecting the world all the time. So we have to kind of almost make a whole moon cycle before we make a decision because, like, you want all of yourself to be in alignment with the decision. So that's kind of
that's why you said reflector.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why you said. I'm a manifestor generator.
Okay.
So,
yes.
But
so
we have to wait, too. We have to wait for the yes and be the solar plexus, right? Now, does the reflector, do you have that, or do you have to wait for someone to reflect it to you, or do you get it in the solar plexus also?
I've just heard, like, from what I've gathered and read, it's the moon cycle. Like, we have to just wait a full moon cycle. If it's still there, then it means we need to move into it.
Okay.
Yes.
I love that.
So
do you check in?
Right away, but yes.
Right.
I mean, I definitely, like, when I get an idea, I'll probably write it down. I'm like, okay, this is there. I have this idea. And generally, I have really close friends and family that I'll share, I have this idea. What do you think? Even just hearing what their thoughts are. And then I, like, let it sit. I might play around with it a little bit, but if it comes back around or I see something on social media or if I hear something or someone says something and it's in alignment with that idea, then it's like that reminder to go back to that and work on it, step into it.
Yes, I do the same. And I think sometimes, like, also because I don't want things to be generated by my ego, even though my internal wisdom or higher self, God, whatever, spirit, whomever, whatever you want to, sometimes leave things to the last minute, like, I need to do something. What should I do? You know, it's like, you don't get this. The sign hasn't come. At least you got a moon cycle. You get to check in on the moon cycle. So let me ask you, in a way, do you kind of, as a reflector, do you feel that you're reflecting also, is it humanity or what's needed? Are you seeing that reflection and reflecting it back?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I reflect the light that I see, if that makes sense. So when I see
Yes.
beautiful pockets of light that people are creating and doing, and this, like, I reflect hope, you know. I look for hope a lot. And I reflect that back at our world through my writing.
Whoa, I love that. Yes. Oh, my gosh. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
Reflecting the hope. Yeah, we so need that. I'm big on, now I saw the Instagram with your name. I didn't see Write to Change the Narrative. I'm going to check that out. But I'm big on being a writer, having written since 8, and of using the written word a lot. And as a hypnotherapist, we're re-scripting, whether visually, but the word is important, is powerful. Mm-hmm. I'm so curious and so kind of inspired, but also curious to your focus on this right to change the narrative, because I think that's so powerful, and I think we are in a time right now where we need to write or rewrite, kind of what you're doing with your books and what you're putting out there, that hope. So if you could touch a little bit on that and what people can even start doing individually, whether it's writing or how do you surmise to change that narrative? What are some ways to change that?
Yeah, I think there's so much power in visuals, as we know, and in writing, I think in media and literature in itself. And so this is why there's been this huge uprising of people making sure that beyond, just the oppressor's story is told. Making sure that we are seeing and hearing beyond what currently exists and what we've been told. Because a lot of times, again, they talk about how when it comes to a story, if you're only hearing from the side of the hunter, do you have the full story, And so this is kind of where we are. We're in the state of this world where there's this huge gap. And I have to think that there are some people who may not have intentionally seen the gap, and then there are definitely people who are very conscious to the gap and, amplified the gap.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of how powerful it is. I talk to people all the time about manifest destiny or just the American dream. These things are these kind of literary visuals that people have said about America. And think of the power that they carry and how people have viewed and operate in America. How people have, risked it all to be in this country for those dreams that have been created.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we look at it like that, it's really shows you how deeply narratives can carry, even if it isn't even if it is an oral story. Mm-hmm. How powerfully that can impact societies, countries, worlds. And so that is why so many of us, I think, are hearing the call to start creating those visuals that help us see beyond what currently exists. And it's hard to do that. It's hard to imagine a decolonized world, an anti-racist world, all these things that we're not currently seeing. But that imagining is so necessary. I call it decolonizing dreams, because moving into decolonizing, indigenizing, and liberating ourselves truly it's work. It's not easy. It takes effort. It takes time. It takes passion. But literature and media is going to be a huge catalyst in that coming to be.
Yeah. We need that. I mean, and it starts with the vision or the visioning. You have to start seeing it and seeing it more and more, hearing about it, and then it gets passed on. I know the first time I lived in Europe, and I'm from Southern California, near the beach, yes, and people are like, "Oh my God, you're from there?" And they're like, "What's it like?" And I started talking, and they said, "And you're really?" I said, "I thought everybody was blonde hair, blue, because that's what they saw on TV." And I was like, no, actually, there's more people that look like me. And actually, I said Southern California used to be Mexico. I said, so it has actually more Latinos, Hispanic, and, people of color. I was like, they're like, oh, what we see on TV. I go, no, not everybody, looks like that. And to your point, this is what I feel so important in the new paradigm is if you look back, I don't care if it's the Bible, all the writings of the Bible, Mesopotamia, Egypt, ancient Greece, India, Africa, they all had the invader-dominator culture, you said colonizing, power over and underpowered, that, victim abuser, master slave. That is ensconced and embedded, entrenched. We have this entrainment. And so that earth, and that's my understanding with the awakening, is breaking that narrative. And it's not just 100 years ago or 200 years ago or 250. If you look at written history, even oral history. I studied women's studies, and we went back to the matriarchal. The matriarchal, did the same thing in a different way to the to the men, and especially even more because they had so much more power because until the patriarchy usurped it, but because they bled, they gave birth and they bled and they didn't die. So that's a lot of power right there. Yeah. So getting into that narrative of that, as you call it, colonizing, and I look at what we call the invader-dominator culture, that has been the game, and everything has been predicated on that. All the systems win-lose. Someone's stronger, someone's better, competition over collaboration. It's been a game that is now finally starting to change, so we do need new forms to reflect this. Books, talks, discussions. Because I agree with you. If we don't see it, we don't feel it, we don't hear it, we can't change it.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's definitely about reimagining new pathways because there's a lot of people who are hearing the call to do things differently, that they're unhappy in the way they're moving currently and hear the call to move differently. And then I think a lot of BIPOCs, there was a glass ceiling on how far they could go financially, what they could do, where they could live, and those are starting to be broken, and things are starting to surpass that. And the biggest thing as we move into this, as we start creating anew, and we're stepping into new callings, is that we cannot take the blueprint of the colonizers. We cannot continue to do business the same way they've done it. It's like a whole revamping on how we're moving and how we're structuring our businesses and how we are, so we have these regenerative and sustainable and businesses where we're reconnecting with, nation. We're reconnecting with nature. Linking to my deck, the oracle that's coming out, my sister and I, we've stepped deeply into living more seasonally, and so we even try and move in terms of like our work, thinking about it in a seasonal sense. So just as in winter, the nature rests, that's when we're going to rest too. We're not going to be running around and pushing deeply on the hamster wheel during that time. That is our time to slow down, reflect, consider all that's happened this year. Like, we're going to be moving very differently. In the spring, we're starting to awaken. It's like, oh, what are the new seeds we're going to plant this year? What are the new things that we're going to start building and creating? Like, moving in alignment with the elements,
Well, now you said something so important because it's true. There has been this imagining, but it's placed in the old paradigm, the old template. Right? It's built. So you're really looking at it, and I love that, this holistic, that it's even how you're doing the system, how you're setting it up, and how you're operating within that. I think that's the only way the narrative can change, right? We have to change the way we show up to it and quote unquote do it.
Correct. Yeah. So
now, go ahead. I was just going to say, when you're imagining this, do you put that in order? Do you have these discussions and kind of say we need to make the change here? And so you're looking at these different aspects of whatever you're doing?
When anyone is looking to seriously decolonize and step into that work, whether it's on a personal level, a business level, or just, any type of engagement in that way, I always tell them to refer to Poko Luwani's steps of decolonization. He has a 5 steps of colonization and then the 5 steps of decolonization, which I think are really powerful to read through and just reflect on where that is showing up in your life, and just start thinking of how to break that down. And I think that you can use that same framework when looking at any business or company you're trying to structure or anything like that. You're looking through that frame or that lens to start with.
So you're saying, okay, people need to, you start with yourself, is what I'm hearing. And whatever,
I've always
individually,
start
personally.
with yourself, but I mean, a lot of us have businesses at the same time. We're doing both, right? Most times it's not like, it's kind of, we need to work on multiple levels in terms of decolonizing. There's yourself, where you have to be doing the internal work, and then there's the aspect of like companies, businesses, whether you are an employee or whether you own it, we got to start decolonizing within those spaces as well. And so Poko Luwani has a article called "The Processes of Decolonization," and he's a Hawaiian activist, and he has 5 steps of colonization and then 5 steps of decolonizing. So I always encourage people to walk through them themselves, and like, again, I think similar to healing, decolonizing is not a linear situation, but and if there's going to be ups and downs, you might be at one section for a long time and go through another section, and it might not take as long. It's like it's a journey, and we're all indoctrinated in these systems. So, I have to decolonize everybody. It doesn't matter if you're white, you're black, whatever race you are, everybody has to decolonize because our systems require that of us, because they are encouraging us to move in ways that are harmful of liberation for all.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say that's a big part of the ascension, getting out of the extreme play of the duality or polarity, us versus them, invader, dominator, power over, underpowered, that whole mindset that wherever you play into it, or it's played into you, and then you have to respond from that place. That's pretty, I think that's, again, just inspirational what you're doing.
Thank you.
But to me, it's getting the core of the overarching narrative, which I think a lot of people forget. They get a little too myopic, too much in the present time. But if you, again, because I love research and looking back in history or studying etymology, because it's all there. Whatever we have had since the beginning of at least written history, and maybe even an oral to some degree,
Yes.
Even unfortunately with some indigenous cultures, it's just been this earth thing that I think has to change. I mean, because it creates so much separation. It's so divisive within ourselves. It's divisive to us individually, and hurtful and harmful. And then, of course, for the society, for the culture, and for us as humanity, we would become. I think if we kept on in this narrative, we would become extinct. That's my.
We're headed that direction if we don't do that with the planet. Like, if we don't make deep change, the planet is not okay. So we need the planet to live. I think people forget how intimately our fates are intertwined with nature and the planet.
Good. Yes, that's that interconnectedness. Now, tell us a little bit about what you want to share with us about your books, and then I'm also curious about your Oracle deck, which is this fall, right?
Yes, September 19th is when it is released. So the Oracle deck, my sister and I wrote the Oracle deck together, so it's a sister-created deck. We wanted something with the elements, so it's called the Elemental Alchemist. And I think, well, I will say this. I think there's this stereotype around Oracle decks and tarot decks being a little bit more hardcore and like hard-hitting, and Oracle decks being kinder. I will say that I think my Oracle deck is just as straightforward as my tarot deck. So I will voice that in advance. It's just,
say that again? It's what now?
I think it's just as straightforward and honest as my tarot deck. So I'm a deep believer that anything anyone creates is the artist and the creator, the author, are deeply embedded in the project. And so
yes,
it's one of those things where you need to listen to what calls to you in terms of decks, because everyone's on their spiritual journey. So my spiritual journey is very evident where I am, where I was at that time, is embedded in the deck. And so with the Elemental Alchemist, it was very much my sister and my walk back into reconnecting with the elements deeply and connecting with our ancestors through the elements. We wrote about the typical elements, so you have your fire, water, air, and earth, but we also added spirit as an element as well. So we wrote spirit together, and then I wrote water and I wrote air, and my sister wrote earth and fire. And so that was how our collaboration worked in terms of the writing piece. The illustrator is my friend from South Africa. Her name is Kamishka Naidu. We went to high school together. So her and I, she worked on the illustrations with us. For me, she worked with me for the Black Tarot, my tarot deck, and then she worked with my sister and I for the Elemental Alchemist. So that is kind of the structure of the deck. And yeah, I mean, the goal of all of my work is for people to connect with their ancestors, and to connect with ancestors who are in alignment with their soul mission and where they're headed and the things that they're trying to do here on Earth. And I really wanted something that is very clear. I think every deck speaks differently, but I wanted something very straightforward. I personally love decks that have questions that have you reflect and think for a moment. So every single one of our cards for our Oracle has reflection questions, and it also has take action, so what to do in terms of bringing that card's energy into your life in that moment. Yeah. In accompaniment with the Oracle deck, my sister and I wrote a journal that accompanies it, so it's a guided journal for the Elemental Alchemist. And I wanted a blend of like a bullet journal and a spiritual journal all in one. So we made this beautiful journal that has shadow work prompts. It has bullet trackers for you to be tracking how you're filling your cup, so how are you taking care of yourself and make sure you're nurturing yourself, for gratitude, for meditation, and for spiritual cleansing of your space. So cleaning your altar, taking care of your house in a spiritual cleansing way. And then also being able to track your Oracle readings throughout the month as well. And you spend a month.
Now, is the journal, because I was looking at the journal, does the journal go with the cards, or is it standalone, or is it oh, it does. Ah, okay.
So it is, we built it in connection with the cards. Obviously, you could use it and you could track any decks or whatever you're working with. But it is, it was made in conjunction with the deck, if that makes sense.
Okay. But it doesn't come with it, because you have, so you could have it on your own.
They are sold separately. That is correct.
Now, with the deck, you said you had a guidebook?
Yes. All of my decks have a guidebook. So my tarot deck has a guidebook and my oracle deck has a guidebook. And they go through each card. And I have, in both of them, I have different spreads for people who are unsure and preparing for a reading, what that looks like. So I really try and break down as much as possible. In the tarot deck, I really broke down the visual aspects because you've got the moon and you've got the water very present in the deck. And so I really went to why those are present in my tarot deck. In the oracle deck, we talked a little bit about oracle versus tarot for those who are unsure, because I get that question a lot. And then, we dove into understanding the guidebook. And similarly with the journal, there's also an explanation of how to use it and what to expect in each section and how that works.
Now, when is that available?
Tarot deck is already available. It came out last year, December.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And
my
that's
tarot
on
deck
Amazon.
And the journal that goes with that. Amazon, it's in Target, and then it's available Barnes & Noble. Where else? Just anywhere you buy books online.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this has been inspiring. We're winding out of time now. Let people know how to reach you, and I loved our conversation. Come back anytime you want to share or have something you want to let people know about. I guess now just let us know how we can connect with you.
Yeah, of course. So I have my website, which is just nyashawilliams.online. And then I am on Instagram at Writing to Change the Narrative. I don't know if you have a moment. I pulled a card before the session. Is it okay to read that from the book?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, I'd love that. Thank you.
I pulled the Ancestors. So it's the card from Spirit, the Ancestors. And it says, loved ones and those who carried your blood, who walk this earth before you, are reaching out. They want to connect. Do you hear their call? Who better to guide you on this challenging, difficult, and enriching journey than those who held you in their spirit and heart? Speak to them and lay your worries at their altar. Your ancestors are your biggest cheerleaders. Pay homage to your lineage as their sacrifices, known and unknown, have gotten you to where you are now. Work towards gracefully receiving and giving. Your community extends beyond the physical realm. Question: are you seeing the signs? When was the last time you spent time in nature? How is the health of your ancestral altar? Take action. Call out to invoke ancestral veneration. Speak out loud as frequently as you feel called. Ancestors known and unknown who want wealth in all of its forms for me and my family, be with me now. Please guide me on my path with your wisdom and guidance. I am the root root of your root, soil of your soil, bone of your bone, and blood of your blood. Walk with me in the commitment to lineage and grow, and allow me to grow our legacy.
Wow. Powerful, powerful, powerful. And synchronistic as I pulled the ancestor card this morning. In my,
really? That's amazing.
Yeah, in an oracle deck, I was doing a rune deck, an oracle deck. I had gotten, I think it was called the Ancestors. Yeah, the Observer I got in the Ancestors. So, what a synchronicity.
I love that.
Me as well. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, my gosh. Well, this has been wonderful, and come back anytime and just keep shining bright. You know, you're doing so much great soul work in the world, and it's just wonderful to hear about it and be inspired by you.
I appreciate you taking the time and energy to talk. I love talking with other people who are doing the work as well, so much appreciated.
Me too. Yeah. Take good care. Much peace.
You too. Take care.
All right, Soul Lights. Woo, what a powerful way to end the podcast. That is Nyasha Williams. You can find her information in the description box below if you want to connect with her more and find out more about what she's doing. I love that reading of that oracle deck. I think it was perfect, and what a synchronicity for me. Yeah, so you guys read the signs. Follow the synchronicities in your life. They are guiding you. They're guidance from your soul through your intuition and the revealing of the interconnectedness of the all that is. Yes, yes, yes. All right, to connect with me, you can Instagram. Love for you to connect there. Also, really asking people to take the time. I know it's a pain in the you-know-what, in the arse, in the como se llama, as we say in Spanish, a pain in the como se llama, but 5 stars. If you would take the time, especially those of you that have been listening to this podcast for years, it would mean a lot to go give a 5-star review. If you have issues, I don't know why you would, but if you have issues, you can always email me at awakeningspodcast@gmail.com. Also, guest suggestions, topic suggestions. If you have a question you want answered on air, email me at awakeningspodcast@gmail.com. The producer will forward it to me. And we are open to suggestions and topic suggestions because this is a community connection, a community expression of learning, growing, sharing, and connecting, collaborating. So it's what's best for all of us in this co-creation. Also, please subscribe to Awakenings with Michele Meiche podcast on YouTube and also Soul Insights and Tarot. And if you're interested in the Akashic clearing and soul retrieval, I put a link on my Instagram profile. If you go to the profile, the bio, where it'll say there's 3 links there, I think. One for the website, Patreon, and this course, class, workshop, sound healing, frequency transmission, sound bath, whatever you feel comfortable calling it. All right, gang, shine bright. Continue to share your insights, and, of course, keep awake.
Awakenings broadcasts every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific Time. Archive shows available on iTunes. For continued awakened conversations and insights, join the Awakenings group on Facebook. And check out Michelle's blog at soulplayground.com. And keep awake.